Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 12th episode of Season 2 of the Coffin Corner Podcast. I'm your host, KingNightAsp, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Richie. Richie, what's up, dude?
Oh, not much. Just ready to discuss another fun weekend of football and looking forward to going to the game with you on Sunday.
You know, it's funny, I was thinking about that this week, about how when we decided to go to that one, we were thinking, oh, it'll be really fun to see the Bengals destroy the Cardinals, right? They're really good Bengals playing, and hopefully the Cardinals can do something. But now it's like, who's going to win this game? Because it could be either of them.
There is a very real possibility that the Cardinals can pull off the upset.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which makes it all the more fun to be at.
Exactly. Well, we're going to preview week 5, but first we're going to cover week 4. And I thought when I put in the top 5, right, this is something I wanted to do last week, came up with the idea based on last week's top 5. Last week's top 5 was teams currently under 500, the top 5 teams currently under 500, which made me think, what are the top 5 teams that are over 500, and who are the pretenders in that group? Exactly. So I'm curious if we feel like, I put 5 because you have to have 5 for a top 5. I'll tell you if I really think they're pretenders or not, but I'll put down 5 that are just as close to the pretenders as I could see out of the ones that are up there. But,
all right, I like it.
But what I wanted to do is go back over our top 5 teams currently under 500 and see how many of them actually won last week.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
So we'll start off. I've got it brought up, so I'll walk us through it. But your first one was the Arizona Cardinals, who we know did not beat the Cowboys, but up until about the fourth quarter, they were rolling with the Cowboys that entire. They were not entire game, but in that third quarter, they got to 16-21, and they made a game of it. Now
the 49ers. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They beat the Cowboys. It was the 49ers.
Yeah, they put up a good fight. I'm satisfied with it. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is Christian McCaffrey, but they put up a fight and continue to look better than anybody expected.
And if anyone had told you that the Cardinals were going to hold Deebo Samuel and George Kittle to a combined 1 catch, you probably would have called them crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
The good news for the 49ers is they didn't need either of those guys because Ayuk and McCaffrey were all they needed.
Yep, so. And the offense continues to look good. Michael Wilson catching his first 2 career touchdown passes. Always nice to see a rookie breaking out a little bit. Hopefully that keeps up.
Josh Dobbs is pretty high in fantasy as a quarterback. It's kind of crazy.
And still does not have an interception, which of course means now he'll throw one on Sunday. But through the first 4 games, he did not.
Speaking of, my other first team was the Texans, who won.
Yes.
And CJ Stroud also has still not thrown an interception.
Yes.
So
he is off to a hot start.
Texans are now 2-2. So that
really makes you wonder why Bryce Young was the number 1 pick.
I honestly, I was thinking that because CJ Stroud, 6'2", like the perfect build for a quarterback. They picked CJ Stroud. They pulled the Cardinals and picked the short guy, and look what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Your second.
Yeah, it's Bryce Young has not looked very good, and CJ Stroud looks a lot better than I think people thought this early. Hopefully he keeps it up, and he's thrown to a bunch of lesser known receivers, so even more impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Next up on your list was the LA Rams, who also got a win last week. So far,
yeah.
That's 2 out of the 3 with wins last week.
And the Rams are getting Cooper Kupp back this week. Well, maybe not exactly this week, but he should start practicing.
Yep. My next one on my list that wasn't the Cardinals, which you also had, we already talked about, is the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, there they go. Started again last week. They got all the players to have a good offense. The fact that they were 0-3 just didn't make any sense. So,
I mean the turnovers have been killing them. Kirk Cousins looks awesome, but I mean they got to win against the Panthers. I'm not ready quite yet to say that they're going to bounce back completely because they play the Chiefs this week. But
yeah, I saw the schedule and I kind of was like, oh, okay, so they might be 1-4 soon.
Yeah. But hey, they're on the board. They're not looking for that first win anymore. So that's something to be excited about.
We also had the Jaguars on there who got a win in London. You know what's crazy about the London games is, do you know the Jaguars are playing in London again this week?
Yeah, I think they play. Is it 2 or 3 games in London this season? Like it honestly is their second home.
They literally did not get to go home. Like,
yeah,
they're like,
which is not a bad way for if there was like a team in London, and you know, say like the Patriots had to go out there and play them. You could just give them their bye right after they play in London to give them more time to adjust on the flight back rather than having to fly back and play back here in the States.
Yeah, and if there was a team in London, you could probably... It's not really quarters anymore since there's not 16 games, there's 17. But if you were to do quarter of home games, quarter of away, quarter like...
Right. Yeah, they'd be on the road for 4 straight weeks, then home for 4 straight weeks. Yeah. There's a way to do it. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but there is a way they could do it.
Yep. The next two on both of our lists was the Chargers, who I believe got a win last week, right? They
did over the Raiders.
Yes. And then the Bengals.
Boy,
I am off of I have now moved myself officially off of the. They always have slow starts train. They are a train wreck right now, like absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I don't know.
This isn't a slow start. They might actually have fundamental problems on that team.
Well, I think Burrow is still not 100%, and that's causing a lot of issues. And the defense,
but isn't the line?
I guess it's just terrible.
This year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. Even if Burrow was fine, they're getting to him a lot more often, and that is not good for him. So.
No, it's not looking good, especially with the rest of their division being so much better. The Ravens, the Browns, the Steelers, not so much, but they got a tough path forward. I mean, they're still mathematically able to win the division, but boy, it's going to be super hard for them.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting. Well, that leads us back into this week's top 5, which is the top 5 teams on the other side of the 500 spectrum. Actually, they're not on the other side. 500 or better, since we now have 4 weeks, and there's a lot of 2-2 teams. But this is to kind of talk about fool's gold teams who we think might actually be pretending and not as good as their record says. So, let's start. Well, let's start there. Why don't you go first?
All right, so I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. They are 2-2. They just beat up on the Bengals, but as we talked about, Bengals look like garbage. I just don't buy the Titans team. Their defense isn't good. Henry's getting older. Hopkins hasn't done anything since he joined there. Tannehill has like 2 touchdown passes the entire season. It's just the fact they're 2-2 is mind-boggling. I don't expect them to finish above 500 to end the year. I mean, they're in a pretty bad division, but yeah, that team is just I can't remember who else they beat. They beat the Bengals and the Chargers. That's right. Yeah, that week too.
They've lost to the Browns and the Saints, but beaten the Chargers and the Bengals. So
yeah,
what a weird,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just can't buy into a team whose offense is like nothing.
Yeah. Derrick Henry finally kind of did Derrick Henry things last week, but I don't see that
Yeah, I think
happening for him every week.
Threw a touchdown pass last week. Like,
did you see the one
so
he ran?
weird.
He ran over
Yeah.
4 or 5 guys to get that touchdown. It was crazy. Maurice is trying to fix a fantasy team. Good luck to you. I've been trying to fix mine for 3 weeks. It's not going well.
I'm 0-4 in one of my leagues and basically just throwing in the towel.
My first one that I've got on here is the Seattle Seahawks. They're 3-1. They beat the Lions in a game the Lions could have easily won, but they didn't. So I'm not going to say that Seattle didn't deserve to win that. But their wins have been against the Panthers and the Giants. They beat the Lions in a game that I feel like the Lions should have won, and they lost to the Rams. They've beaten bad teams. They beat 2 bad teams, and they've lost to the Rams and pulled out a win on the Lions. I'm not quite sure I believe in the Seahawks yet. I don't. Geno Smith hasn't looked as good as he did last year. His QBR is 65 currently on the 3-1 team. So I don't know. We'll see what happens to the Seahawks. I put them on this list because I didn't want to go all 2-2 teams. But looking at the Seattle's record, they're playing the Bengals they're not playing the Bengals this week. What is this?
They're on bye.
That's what it is. I'm like, their next game is against the Bengals, and I'm like, that's not true. The Cardinals' next game is. Okay,
yeah.
So they're on a bye. Their next game after that is against the Bengals. So if they beat the Bengals, who are the Bengals right now, I don't know. I'm still not going to know what to think. Their first game, they're playing the Cardinals soon. After that, and the Browns, and then the Ravens. So it's going to be a while. They have a decent schedule for a team that might not be as good as you think they are. I'm looking over it, and there's a section here where they go back to play the Rams at LA, then play the 49ers, then the Cowboys, then the 49ers, then the Eagles. So that will probably be where we see if Seattle is real or not.
Yeah, I would have had Seattle on my list if you didn't. I agree. I none of their wins have really impressed me that much. I just don't see them as like their defense dominated the Jets and Legion of Boom's back, all that crap, but the Jets are just garbage. Like I don't. Nothing the Seahawks have done has really blown me away enough to be like, yeah, they're 3-1. They're going to threat for that division. It's like, no, they're probably fighting for a wild card spot and probably will make it, but they're not that good.
You said the Jets?
Yeah, then the Jets game on Monday night.
That was the
when
Giants.
the Seahawks defense beat up on them.
Jets played the Chiefs.
Didn't the Jets just play the Seahawks? Oh, the Giants did.
Yeah,
One of those New York teams.
Those night games all blend together to me, honestly.
Yeah,
because I don't sit and watch
them. all them New York teams that are just garbage this year after everybody has such high hopes.
Yeah. Who's your next one?
My next one is going to be the Atlanta Falcons, which I don't think the Falcons are a terrible team. I don't think they're using their offensive players correctly. I mean, they're 2-2, but again, nothing they've done has really blown me away. If anything, it's really frustrating to see them not use Bijan Robinson as much as they should and not use Kyle Pitts as much as they should. Like, it's just it's a very talented team, but just kind of chugging along. And the other thing that stood out to me, let me see exactly what it is. They are 2-2 with a point differential of -15. So, yeah, that's not a good stat if your point differential is negative.
That and Desmond Ridder with his 29 QBR. He's the catalyst for that whole team.
I can't hear you. I don't know if that's a me issue.
Hello? Must be a you issue. I'm coming through on the stream. Leave the call and come back. Oh, what the? It was muted in Discord.
There you go.
That was odd.
I
didn't
was like, I can hear you.
Oh, I must have hit this button. Okay. Anyways, I was gonna say Desmond Ridder and his 29 QBR is a big problem.
Yeah, and I've heard people talk about Taylor Heineke, and it's like Taylor Heineke would be better just because he's more experienced. But I mean, Taylor Heineke's a fighter, but he's also not a superstar. So the Falcons just need a quarterback. Like, that's the only thing. They just need... I can't believe they didn't do anything at that position in the offseason.
They saw Ridder last year. Apparently they were like, okay, well, we'll just go for a little bit more and see what happens. But
my favorite rumor right now is that if the Bears lose tomorrow night, that they're going to blow up the entire franchise and fire everybody and trade Justin Fields. And I'm like, Atlanta getting Justin Fields would be a game changer for that team. He's not Josh Allen, but just giving them an above average quarterback with Deshaun Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, like, that offense all of a sudden is way more interesting to watch.
You know who I really would like to see playing quarterback for the Falcons right now?
Who?
Trey Lance.
Yeah, that would have been a good one, but
that was one of the teams we talked about when we were talking about where Trey Lance should go,
and they didn't even want to give up a third rounder.
Right, and here they are sticking with Desmond Ridder. So,
yeah, it's weird.
This one is just a head scratcher, and I'm happy that has happened. But it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3-1 with Baker Mayfield. Now, it's not hard to see a team that has Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, Kate Otten as a good team, but it's just surprising to me. I thought this would be a down year for Tampa Bay, and so far they are doing well. Now, let's go over who they beat. They beat the Vikings, who are, 1-3. They beat the Bears.
Yeah, it doesn't look as impressive
who are
now.
0-4. They beat the Saints. I don't even know the Saints record. And they lost to the Eagles. And they lost 25-11 to the Eagles. So, I mean, yeah, they're 3-1. But they're also, I don't know that their schedule's reflecting that is a good 3-1. Despite the fact that I will say that Baker Mayfield has played very well. Rachaad White has played well enough in the role as running back. And then, of course, Mike Evans is playing out of his mind this season so far.
And it still cracks me up that nobody wanted to draft Mike Evans in fantasy.
Get right, dude. That was an easy one for a lot of people. Not an easy one for a lot of people, but that's easy points for a lot of people to go with other receivers that they have that they got high. It's crazy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I draft them everywhere I could.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I agree with Bucks. The thing is about that division, the NFC South, is that the Bucks probably will end up winning it because we just talked about the Falcons. We'll talk about the Saints here in a second. That division, much like the AFC South, is very bad, and the Bucks are competent enough to win a bunch of divisional games, win a couple outside divisional games, probably win that division at 9-8.
No, we'll see what happens. It's the Bucks are playing the Lions this week, so we'll see what happens.
See, unfortunately for the Bucks, that's not going to be fun for them. that's real competition that they're not ready for.
The Lions this week, which scares me because I am superstitious. The Lions this week have their highest point spread in the last 15 years.
Holy crap, that's nuts.
I think it's not. Last I saw it was 9.5 points for the Lions, and I'm like, oh, great. Great, love to hear that.
10 points. Wait, that can't be right.
So,
wait, that's not the Bucks. Oh, the Bucks are on bye this week. Okay.
Oh, so their next game is. Oh, so who are the Lions?
They're playing the Panthers.
Them not showing buys on ESPN's team schedules is fucking me up. Panthers. The Lions play the Panthers this week. That's their 10-point favor.
And they're favored by 10? Yeah, they should win that game by 10.
Well, it'll be interesting what it is against the Bucks, considering the Bucks are 3-1. We'll see what the Lions end up going in to play against them.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting game. But God, the Lions. The fun thing is when you said that they were favored, their highest point spread in 15 years, I was like, so we should bet the other team to cover it because I mean that's just historically is what's going to happen, but it's the Panthers. I can't bet the Panthers to cover 10. Like, they're so bad.
Muy horrible, as they say. Yeah, so you're up next.
So the Saints is my next team. I'm just tearing apart the NFC South basically. But the Saints, Derek Carr was supposed to come and be a good quarterback for them. He hasn't looked that great. He's banged up. They get Alvin Kamara back. That's fantastic, but he's also getting older. And the Saints just haven't looked good. And it's the same thing as the Falcons. Minus 14-point differential. Their wins have come against the Titans and Panthers. Like, just not much going on in New Orleans. They've got, it's nice to see Michael Thomas still healthy in week 5.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But like Olave hasn't done much. Derek Carr just hasn't looked great. Like, yeah, the team, I'm not overly impressed by a 2-2 team. Now, they'll probably get to 500 by the end of the year, but
I expected more out of Derek Carr, and he's not showing a lot. That's the thing.
I think a lot of people did. He has not been that great.
Yeah, it's rough for me, at least from what I expected for that team. But
we'll see if Kamara makes a big difference. He caught the ball a lot on Sunday. That was about it.
Yeah. Well, they needed him back after Jamal Williams went down.
Yeah.
My next one is the Steelers. Holy crap, what a mess. I don't even know how this team's 2-2, to be honest. They are absolutely freaking terrible. Najee Harris cannot figure out how to play well. Kenny Pickett was not playing well. Now he's got a knee thing. Odds are he's going to play this week, I think, from what I remember seeing. But is that really going to make a difference? They are just... Pat Freiermuth's hurt. Like, their whole team is just in trouble. I don't know how they're 2-2. The fact they've gotten to 2-2 is actually impressive with how bad they are playing.
Yeah. Yeah, they have looked like absolute garbage. In fact, that game that they won against the Browns, they really shouldn't have won that game. Their defense is the only thing that has them even at 2-2. If their defense wasn't playing as well as it is, they would be 0-4 easily. They do look nothing like they did in the preseason.
No. Very bad. They're lucky they have TJ Watt, because if they didn't, they'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
Didn't their main receiver get injured? Who's that? He's on the IR?
Deontay Johnson is on IR right now, yeah.
So it's just chaos in Pittsburgh. They're pulling out. They pulled out 2 wins somehow, but that one is definitely fool's gold to me.
Absolutely agree. All right, my next one is the Colts. The Colts, Anthony Richardson has played well to start, mostly due to his running ability. Zach Moss has filled in nicely for Jonathan Taylor, but I just don't look at that team. They're in the AFC South, but they play the Jaguars, the Browns, the Bucks. They've got a tough schedule, and yeah, I don't know, man. That one to me is more of an eye test. I watched the Rams Colts game, and even though they kept it close up until the end, just watching that team, like, really not that good.
See, I would put them in the not. I'd put them right at 500. I think this is. I put them in the same category as Arizona, a team that could win every week or win or lose every matchup, no matter who they're playing. I think that's the Colts. Because they've played tough against good teams. They've beaten good teams, and they've lost against bad teams. So I don't know. They're just right in the mix of winning or losing, depending on the week. Now, we'll see what Jonathan Taylor does for him, but I think they're just
it'll be interesting to see if Jonathan Taylor does end up playing.
I think they're a 500 team, which is actually an upgrade for them, because I thought they would be one of the worst teams in the NFL. So,
yeah. Michael Pittman has been doing well so far, but I don't know. Like their Ravens win in overtime with the missed field goal by Justin Tucker that never happens. Like they're an eyelash away from being 1-3, and then they've got a lot harder schedule coming up, and yeah, I don't know. They haven't been overly impressed, but hey, maybe Jonathan Taylor will come back. Maybe they'll bury the hatchet and he'll return to form.
Well, my next one should make you not very happy, but that's the Washington Commanders. 2-2 somehow. I just don't. It feels like they've lost every week when I talk to you, to be honest.
Well,
Sam Howell has been okay, but somehow nothing. It's going to take a lot to make me forget a 4 interception game where you end up losing 37-3. I don't know. You've beaten the Cardinals and the Broncos and lost to the Bills and the Eagles. So that's against good teams, losses. Bad teams, wins. So are you a 500 team? Are you a bad team? Can you figure out how to beat good teams? That's what I want to know.
Well, and that's the whole thing for the Commanders. And honestly, after the Eagles game, I mean, they go losing by 3 in overtime to the Super Bowl runners up from last year it's not bad for a team that I expected them to be at the bottom of the NFC East. Clearly, the Giants reserved that space. Yeah. And the Commanders do have a much easier stretch coming up for their schedule. That's the thing with the Commanders is right now no one has any idea what they are. They've lost to 2 Super Bowl contenders and they've beaten 2 bad teams, but they haven't done it in convincing fashion. Now they play the Bears, Falcons, Giants, and I think Eagles again, but at home. So it's like, yeah, there's a chance that they're 5-2 in a couple weeks facing the Eagles at home in a fun rematch, or there's a chance they're 2-5. Like nobody knows what the Commanders are.
That's why
it's very frustrating.
That's why the question mark is next to their name on this fool's gold question.
Yeah, because it's honestly just one of those like I haven't seen enough of a sample size to know. Like I will say Sam Howell has been better than I expected. I know he threw 4 interceptions in one game, but in the other 3 games he's been a lot better than a 5th round pick should be. So I'm happy with that. Brian Robinson's expanded role I'm happy with. I'm a little upset with the defense. The last 2 games they have not played to where they should be playing. But again, they've been doing it against 2 teams that I actually think were my 2 Super Bowl picks, the Bills and Eagles. So I don't know. The funny thing is, like, 4 weeks sounds like a long time, but if you go back and look at like the first 4 weeks of last year, there are probably teams that were 1-3 that made the playoffs, or teams that were 3-1 that missed the playoffs. Like, there's still so much football left to be played. It's very frustrating. I wish I could tell you what the Commanders are, but it's just I don't know yet. We'll find out more tomorrow. I'll tell you that. If we lose to the Bears, then we're just up in the flames.
Maybe you guys blow up.
Maybe.
Who's your last one?
My last one is actually the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 3-1. I wanted to put at least one 3-1 team on here, and you took the other 2 that I would have picked. But the thing about the Cowboys is, yes, they'll make the playoffs because the NFC, honestly, is just not that powerful. But they've beaten up on the Giants and Jets and Patriots. And then they lost to the Cardinals. The Cardinals are, I would say, an average team. Giants and Jets are bad teams. And the Patriots, unfortunately, it seems like are a bad team. So, again, the Cowboys haven't done anything to convince me that they're 3-1 and competing for that division. They're just going to beat up on bad teams and make their way into the playoffs. They play the 49ers this week. If they can pull out a win or, make it close, a lot more impressive. But I watched them in person in Arizona. That did not look like a dominant 3-1 team. Like, it looked like a team that just expected wins to be handed to them because they're the Cowboys.
Well, the good news is, in primetime, we will watch them play the 49ers this week. So we'll see what actually happens.
Is that Monday night or?
It's the 8th, so that's
Sunday night. So I'll be listening to that game on the way home.
There you go.
But yeah, that's it'll be a big test because I think the Cowboys defense has played very well to start the year, but they've done it against 3 of the worst offenses in football. So
yeah. They gotta hope they can look as good as they have against bad teams against a good team right now.
Right. Exactly.
My last one is the Packers, and I've talked about this already leading into the Lions-Packers game, but the Packers, before the Lions game, the Packers had beaten the Bears and the Saints and lost to the Falcons, who the Lions destroyed. And then they lost to the Lions 34-20 in a game that seems closer than it actually was, because the Lions absolutely deconstructed the Packers in the first half of that game and then just decided, let's take our foot off the pedal for the second half, and then had to put it back on. But the Packers are definitely fool's gold to me. Like, they are not. I think Jordan Love is decent, but on none of these 4 games there's anything to anoint him the next Aaron Rodgers. So I think everyone needs to slow down on that. And they're playing the Raiders this week, then the Broncos the next week. So there's a very good chance they could be 4-2 after the next 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm still going to stay skeptical just because of their schedule so far. There's a section in here where we hit the Chargers, the Lions again, and the Chiefs. We'll see how they do there.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that. I think the Packers are severely overrated. They haven't done anything. Like, their win against the Falcons was such a fluke come from behind victory. Oh no, that was against the Saints. The Falcons when they lost. Yeah, they haven't done a darn thing to be considered anything more than, not even maybe fighting for a wild card. You could say that's their goal right now, but that's not going to happen. They'll miss the playoffs easily. Jordan Love, his QBR right now 88. Justin Fields is 86.8. So, not much better than a quarterback that everybody has given up on. So, yeah, sorry, Jordan Love has not impressed me at all.
His QBR is 88?
88. He is 19th in the league.
You know what Goff's is?
Where is he?
70.
98.4.
His QBR?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, his rating. His QBR is 68.9.
I was say. Okay.
Jordan Love's is 48.9.
Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now our numbers are adding up to me, because I'm like, how is Jordan Love 18 points above Jared Goff? That doesn't.
No, Jared Goff's 7th in the league in QBR, and actually Sam Howell in QBR is rated above Jordan Love. So,
nice.
Womp womp. But yeah, I agree. Packers are, even at 2-2, they're overrated in my mind.
Yeah, I am with you. All right, well, that's going to do it for the top 5. I didn't put any news in here because I wrote this up while doing other things last night. But I did want to talk about one more thing. We're going to go right back to the Taylor Swift thing. Okay? And there's only one reason for this. If you saw the game for the Chiefs against the Jets and the refereeing in that game, absolutely insane.
Yeah.
The calls that were made, that somehow the Chiefs end up winning that game. And then guess what the NFL Twitter does after that game? Puts in their bio. First off, their header on the NFL Twitter is a 3 pictures collage of Taylor Swift. And then their bio said, Swifties are 2-0. And I'm like, after your referees just made 2 of the worst calls I've ever seen, and the Chiefs end up winning that game, you're going to lean into the Taylor Swift thing? who is the girlfriend of one of the players of the Chiefs, who a lot of people think you just helped win. Whether you did or didn't, that's whatever. But probably the worst look you could ever do, especially when so many people believe that you fix games. I'm just saying. So
yeah, there was the holding call on Mahomes' scramble at the end that was blatant. And it's one of those conspiracy theories. It's like, it just sounds so easy. Like, the NFL wants the Chiefs to win in primetime because so many non-football fans are watching because of Taylor Swift. It's why they show her so much and talk about her so much. Yeah, it's they'll never come out and admit it, and it'll never be proven. But after watching that game and seeing the blown calls, it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, of course that happens. Of course they need the Chiefs to win.
Was Travis Kelce today saying the NFL is doing too much. He actually called them out. He's like, stop this. This is annoying.
Yeah, because they're like, the NFL's so thirsty for attention. Like, they're like, oh my God, people are talking about us on social media that don't usually talk about us on social media. It's, yeah. My favorite thing, I saw a meme. It was a picture of Aaron Rodgers and a picture of Taylor Swift. And it said, one of these is an attention-thirsty diva, and the other one is Taylor Swift. It's like, awesome.
Whenever I think of Travis Kelce, I think of the White House when he walked up to the podium. He was like, I've been waiting a long time for this. And then Mahomes like grabs him. And
that was fantastic.
That one cracks me up.
Fantastic.
All right. So that's all the news I wanted to talk about, because it is a big story right now, even though it shouldn't be. And it's just annoying to me that they're turning this into such a spectacle.
Yeah, I think the only news
53 people on every single team with interesting life stories, and we get to hear about Taylor Swift. I would much rather hear human interest stories of your players from your league that actually put their cleats on the field and play your game. But let's talk about Taylor Swift instead. Just please stop. Anyways.
Gotta get those likes.
Some of my favorite things are like when it almost chokes me up, but like when Eric Barrett came back from cancer, right?
Oh yeah,
John Mechie getting his first catch after battling leukemia. It was leukemia, I believe. Those types of things are the ones I want to hear about. But that's just me, I guess. So
yep.
Why don't you go over some of the week four plays, our Thursday night 4 plays we did last week, and I will be right back.
All right. Well, last week, Thursday night 4 play, Dan got 3 correct out of 4. So close. The Lions money line, Laporta 25+ yards, Amon-Ra 40+ yards. When he missed, Luke Musgrave over 3.5 receptions. I don't remember exactly how many receptions Musgrave got, but it was probably like 3. Mine was much worse. I only got 1 correct. But that's because I went Packers heavy in the hopes of reverse jinxing them, and it worked. Let's see, what did Musgrave? Oh, Musgrave only had 1 catch from 1 yard. Yikes. But I had Jordan Love 250+ yards, Jared Goff 250+ yards, Packers to cover 7.5, which they didn't. They lost by 14, and then over 39.5. So Dan getting closer to getting his first 4 play correct, and me being much, much farther away this week than I was last week when I hit it.
There's something to talk about there. Hold up.
All right.
So I complained about the people blaming in-game happenings on sports betting, right?
Yes.
The reason Luke Musgrave only got 1 catch is because he went out of the game after Jordan Love almost got a safety. He threw a pass to save his ass to Musgrave, who ran for about a yard after he caught it on just the ugliest play you've ever seen. And he went out of the game on that 1 play right before halftime with a concussion. Now, you remember last week I was saying that everybody was talking about Musgrave getting a bunch of points against the Lions because the Lions are terrible against tight ends.
Yep.
Well, then, of course, the internet's like, well, we all went in on Musgrave this week because everybody was talking about him, and now he's out with a concussion that didn't look like a concussion to me. And now we're all going to lose our bets. I'm like, shut up. They're not going to run a guy back on the field because you bet he had 4 receptions. Like, if he has a concussion or he doesn't, if they even think he does, he's not going back on the field. Shut up. I just lost my first foreplay. That seemed like the easiest one in the world because of this. But, I mean, I would rather him not go out there and play and get hurt than worry about making myself $30. You know? I know a lot of people bet a lot more money, but too fucking bad. That's the thing about betting. You know? It happens. So.
Well, and it's the same way with fantasy. If you got a player that goes out in the first quarter with an injury and gets you 5 points, like, you can't complain. It's shit happens. Like, it's just what happens. You know, people think they have a right to yell at players for underperforming, and it's like, you really don't. Like they're just out there.
A Madden sim,
right?
This is real people playing a game, a contact sport. So get out.
That's when people when people tweet at them or like send them messages on social media. It's like, what are the balls to do that? Like, especially if somebody gets injured. Like, I'd like to walk into somebody's job and smack him in the leg with a baseball bat and be like, all right, continue to do your job now. Like,
I bet that you would check out at least 40 employees today, and you're only at 25. You cannot hobble out of the store. You better start checking these groceries.
Yeah. People just get but again, like you said, some people bet way more money and take it way too seriously. And it's like, I only bet money if I'm okay losing that money. Like, I'm not over here betting rent checks. It's like, yeah, I'll bet $5 because otherwise I would have wasted it on Taco Bell. Like,
I know this is not for everyone, and it's not what everyone thinks about it. Some people make it their job. But for me, betting makes games I'm not that interested in more interesting. If I'm watching, let's say that the Thursday night tomorrow, if it wasn't the Commanders and it was the Bears playing the Saints, it would be more fun for me to watch if I bet $5 and I was going to make 75 and I made a 4-play parlay, and I'm rooting for this guy to get yards, this guy to get catches, them to score this point, and I'm watching the game hoping these things happen because it just makes it more interesting. Because I bet some money on it, and if they win or what I decide thinks might happens, it makes it more exciting. That's how I treat betting, but other people treat it like a job, and that's what happens. So
some people, they use it as a major income source, and that causes a lot of stress.
Yeah. Anyways, that's why I didn't get my foreplay, because Musgrave went out. So close. By the way, I kept calling him Hargrove that entire game. Musgrave went out with 1 catch by halftime. I remember in the second half, they were trotting out another tight end, and I had no idea what happened. I'm like, where is he going to come back in? Why are they throwing to this tight end?
Who's this bozo?
Yeah. Do not like. All right, week 4 review. What do we got?
So Lions Packers, we talked about it. Lions got a big dominant win on prime time against the Packers. I mean, that was a statement win for the Lions. That was like putting their lock on the NFC North this season, in my opinion.
Dude, the first half, I can't remember if they got no first downs on their own accord or 1, but it was either 0 or 1, and 1 off penalties. They could not move the ball against the Lions defense.
Yeah.
The Lions destroyed them in the first half.
It was 27-3, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. Kind of took their foot off the pedal in the second half. There's some penalties that I did not like, but hey, you know what? They kind of made up for it by coming back from a break and calling a penalty on Quay Walker for jumping over the line on a field goal attempt and giving the Lions a touchdown instead of a field goal. So that was
nice. That was so dumb. I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah. For anyone blaming Quay Walker for that loss, you guys didn't play the first half of the game. So, and Quay Walker, I believe, had, let me check my notes, 19 tackles. So blaming Quay Walker for that loss is a dumb idea. Because it was one penalty. He played the entire game with his hair on fire. And you want to blame him for the loss for that one thing? I don't think so.
Exactly.
The other biggest thing I have from that game is David Montgomery coming back from injury and running for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns. Insane.
He is a beast.
Yeah, I love him. He's great.
It was a great signing by them.
I did not like it when they signed him. I wanted Jamal. I wanted Jamal back, but I love it now. So it's working out very well.
It's easy to root for him when he's not a Bear.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Falcons, Jags. Jags get the win in London. Not really much to talk about in this game other than, Desmond Ridder's terrible. I can't believe they didn't do anything at quarterback. And I can't believe that they're still not doing anything at quarterback.
Yeah. Calvin
I've
Ridley.
seen some people talk about the Jets or Falcons trading for Kirk Cousins if the Falcons decide to blow it up, and it's like, yeah, anything would be better. Like, they had an opportunity in the offseason to draft or sign, and they just did nothing.
Every time someone needs a quarterback, I hear on the sports radio them talking about Carson Wentz being available, and I'm like,
okay.
Did you not see him on the Colts? Did you not see him on the Commanders?
Yeah. He is available.
He is a person. He is a body. If you want to replace one bad quarterback with another, go right ahead.
Yeah, he is. He is there. He can stand behind center and throw a football in the general direction of his receivers.
Exactly.
So I guess he's available.
The other thing
Dolphins, Bills.
Oh, I was just going to mention Calvin Ridley still continuing after coming back from that. I don't even know if it was a suspension, but expulsion from the NFL for a while. Still doing really well on Jacksonville.
I think wasn't it a gambling suspension?
Yeah, but it was an open-ended suspension. Nobody knew he was coming back.
At the time, they didn't know what they were doing, and now it's like 2 games.
Yeah. Oh, you take that back to the news section. Jameson Williams can play this week for the Lions instead of having to wait another 2 weeks on suspension.
That was a pleasant surprise after beating up on the Packers. It's like, oh, you're also getting your receiver back early.
Exactly. Super stoked. Yeah. All right. So continue. Sorry.
Bills, Dolphins, not as close as I thought this game would be. A lot closer, but the Bills, man, making a statement, beating the Dolphins by 28. They went out there and just outright dominated. That's another reason I look at the Commanders game and I'm like, the Dolphins just lost by 28 to the Bills. I don't really feel that bad about the Commanders doing it. The Bills are they are possessed. They after losing in week 1 to the Jets, they're like, none of that. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to go out and just dominate everybody.
Yes. Stephon Diggs is from another planet, I think.
Did you see him fight off like 3 people to run for a touchdown?
Yes. Dude, all of his touchdown catches were crazy. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I think the other thing to note of this game
amazing
was that Devon Achane had one more carry than Raheem Mostert. And here's the stat line in yards. Raheem Mostert, 9 yards. Devon Achane, 101 with 2 touchdowns. So Devon Achane is working his way to the top of that depth chart.
That's 2 straight games. He's looked really good.
Yeah, crazy good. For that little carries to have 100 yards, that's huge.
Along a 55, yeah. He's a big play, explosive running back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steelers, Texans. The Steelers are terrible, and the Texans look great. I mean, I think I picked the Steelers to win this one because in my mind I just keep thinking like the Steelers can't be that bad, but no, they really are that bad. And CJ Stroud looks good. Nico Collins, huge game. Dameon Pierce is finally getting going for the Texans. They may go from last place in that division to winning that division this year.
It's crazy how good they are, and I actually really enjoy watching them play.
Sucks for the Cardinals because we own their first round pick.
That's the only part that's bad about seeing this happen, but I would much rather. I love watching bad teams turn to good. So if CJ Stroud turns that team around, they've got some. CJ Stroud's there, Damian Pierce is there. I like Tank Dell. Nico Collins seems to be coming a really good receiver. They've still got Mechie, who had another catch this week. So, I mean, they got a lot going on for them.
He's off to a slow start.
So, I like them. I like their team. And not to mention they have one of the best secondaries in the NFL with Petre and what's the other guy back there? I forget who their other safety is. But their secondary is crazy good.
Yeah, they're slowly building a very good defense too. Will Anderson, their first round pick this year.
Jimmy Ward. Yeah, Petre and Jimmy
Ward.
Ward.
Yeah, Jimmy Ward. Yep.
So, like
nice.
it. I like it.
What was the next one? Colts Rams. That was actually a pretty exciting game. Overtime win for the Rams. That was a fun one to watch.
Puka Nakua's first touchdown is a walk-off in overtime to beat the Colts. That was such a fun game to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. For the Colts, yeah, getting Jonathan Taylor back. Hopefully, he'll start practicing. We'll see if he decides to play. And then the Rams getting Cooper Kupp back. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Puka Nacua though with Kupp back. Does he still get involved or does he kind of shuffle back down start catching like 3 passes a game?
Here's the thing. Pretend Puka has been Cooper Kupp this whole time. Cooper Kupp comes back. Well, what was the second receiver doing while Puka was catching all those catches? Tutu Atwell was still doing the same type of things that Puka was doing every week, just getting less attention because he wasn't a rookie. Slide Puka into Tutu's spot, and suddenly he's still going to be going crazy. So I think he'll be absolutely fine.
Well, and if he is, the Rams will have a very potent offense too, because Kyron Williams has been a surprise at running back.
Yeah, Kyron Williams is crazy good too.
Yeah.
So, yep, I like him. All right.
Vikings get the win. I mean, Panthers are terrible. It doesn't matter which quarterback they start. Vikings needed to win that game, and they did. But that doesn't mean to me that they're fixed. I still think they're going to end up being the bottom of that division. Well, maybe not the bottom because the Bears are running away with that. But yeah, Vikings after making the playoffs last year and they won the division last year too, didn't they?
Vikings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were like 12 and something. But yeah, now this season, oof, way worse. But and then the Panthers, I don't know. They're just terrible. Bryce Young does not look comfortable. Not much else going on in Carolina. It's crazy. The Chicago Bears may end up having the first and second pick in next year's draft. That's nuts.
Yeah, Chuba Hubbard getting more carries than Miles Sanders, the guy you just paid a crap ton for, is pretty telling. Not to mention Thielen, who you traded for. I believe you traded for him, or either they signed him. He's our leading receiver. They signed him. So, he's old. You really want your young receivers to be the ones that are getting the spotlight, but literally none of them there. Like Terrace Marshall, I guess he had 9 catches, but he's not even really that young anymore. This is his 3rd or 4th season. DJ Chark's old.
His 2nd year. He's only 23.
Really? This is his 2nd. Yeah. He was a rookie last year? No.
He was drafted in 2021, so 3rd year.
This is his 3rd year. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but still, he's only 23. Like that's pretty young. But
true. I don't know, man. Weird game.
Yeah, just not an interesting game. I mean, the Vikings got to win, but who cares?
Yeah, pretty much.
Bucks and Saints. Bucks beat up on the Saints. Derek Carr probably shouldn't have been playing that game. Like he was so banged up. Like I don't know why they forced him out there.
Yeah, I
He
thought
could have
that game
played
was
Jameson
Jameis
Winston.
Winston all the way around, but
Yeah,
he didn't end
I
up.
don't know why they didn't play Winston, but yeah, Bucks get the win. Kamara came back. Yeah, 13 catches for 33
yards
yards.
on 13 catches.
Just
That's a
dumping the
great
ball
fantasy
off.
day for no
Yeah.
stats.
Well, and he had a long of 10 yards, which means 12 of his catches went for 23 yards.
Yeah,
So
that's
less than 2 yards a reception. Like,
so bad.
yeah, ridiculous. But yeah, that's about it there. Commanders, Eagles, we talked about it. Commanders, I mean, the Eagles favor 8.5. Commanders almost won that game, so I'm happy with that showing. I know Ron Rivera afterwards says there are no moral victories, and it's like, well, for me there is. As a fan, it's just nice to see us lose a close one to a good team rather than get blown out by a good team.
I hate that quote because while it might be true on the field for the players, if you're a Cardinals fan, plenty of moral victories. Because you thought that team was going to get blown out every game, and now they're in every game, and you think they can win games like the 49ers. You think that they can go in against the Bengals and win. So,
yeah, I'm sure for him it's more of the I'm going to be fired if we miss the playoffs mentality. So he needs to win as many games as possible.
Chandler, we will happily answer fantasy questions. There is a section at the very end after we recap or preview all the week 5 games. Then we're going to talk about fantasy. So if you want to ask some fantasy questions, then we'll happily answer them. Next up, you've got the Broncos at the Bears, which was an absolutely insane bottom of the barrel game. It was actually interesting. It's crazy to me that Justin Fields, for most of this game, was near 100% completion. 4 touchdowns, QB rating of 132. He just absolutely went crazy in this game. Only had 25 yards rushing, meaning he sat in the pocket. He ran around outside the pocket through pressure to throw, looking to pass instead of rush. Like, he played probably his best game as a professional football player, and they still lost to one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Well, the way they lost is so funny.
Yes.
And I watched this game, and the first 3 quarters, and especially the first half, it didn't even look like the same Bears team, especially the offense. Justin Fields literally set the Bears franchise records with, I think, 16 straight completions.
Mm-hmm.
His one incompletion in the first half was on a Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Yep.
It was just everything they were doing looked beautiful. And even the defense was stopping the Broncos. The no-name Bears defense that doesn't have a single star on it was stopping the Broncos for I'd say 2.5, even 3 quarters. I'll give them the third quarter. And then they went home and just completely disappeared in the fourth quarter. It was mind-boggling how they lost this game. As dominant as they looked in the first half to as bad as they looked in that single quarter to end up losing the game. You think the Bears can't find new ways to be the worst team in the NFL, and then they go out and do this, and it's like, no, let's show people a new way for us to lose. It's so insane. Which makes it tomorrow's game is so stressful for me because if the Commanders fuck around and lose to the Bears, like especially the way the Bears look right now, it's like all goodwill out the window. Like just all hope out the window. You can't lose a game like this to Chicago. Chicago looks like they're trying to get everybody fired. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know what's happening, but man, yeah, I can't even describe how flabbergasted I am that they managed to lose that game.
Yeah, it was bad, real bad. I mean,
It's
I think I texted you in the first quarter after they scored 3 touchdowns. No, in the second quarter after they scored 3 straight touchdowns. I'm like, 70-point game? Because they scored those points within like 3 drives within like 8 minutes or something.
Yeah, they just scored like one after another. And the funny thing too is like Justin Fields ended up with the interception at the end of the game, which killed their chance to come back and win it. But they also had the ball deep in Denver territory with like 3 minutes left. And instead of kicking a field goal to go up 31-28, they went for it.
Yeah,
and didn't get it, and then Denver drove down. So it's like, I don't know why their coach wasn't fired after that. Like everyone's like, oh, if he loses Thursday, it's like, no, they're 0-4. Historically, they've given up 25 or more points in like 15 straight games. Like they haven't won since like I think September of last year. Like they're fucking terrible. Why is he still employed? Like it's just
what's his name? Eberflus.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus, who's a defensive coach, and is yet
has no defense.
Is like a historically bad defense. It's ridiculous.
All right, well, we'll move into the Ravens-Browns. Ravens absolutely destroyed the Browns. My guy started that game, man. But he could not figure it out that day. 3 interceptions.
Not ready
he had
for
a fumble.
prime time.
He did not lose that fumble, but I just kept checking in on this game throughout the day because I had my the 4 box up, right? So I had the red zone in 3 games. Well, this game was one of them, and anytime I looked to that screen, their offense just looked like it was doing nothing. So sorry, DTR, but that was not the best start for you. I mean, pretty much anyone on that team, as far as offense goes, there was really no offense in that game for the Browns. Now the Baltimore Ravens, on the other hand, they cruised in that game. 28-3 they went. So not a lot to say about it besides that the Ravens are very good and showed it.
Yeah, the Browns. It sucks. We like DTR. It's a bummer of a start to his career, but yeah.
You've got the Bengals and the Titans. Bengals at the Titans, where the Bengals got destroyed by the Titans. Kind of talked about this in the top 5 section, where the Titans absolutely destroyed the Bengals. You would think that a third-string quarterback was in the way that Joe Burrow was playing. Sacked 3 times, a QB rating of 80, only 165 yards passing. Like, it's just... Burrow had a lost fumble. Like, there's just so much going on with this offense right now that's wrong. And it's just hard to watch. Especially when you pay.
Yeah, Burrow only averaging 5.5 yards per completion. Like that's not the Joe Burrow that we're used to. He usually is airing it out. So I think he's still not 100%. And I think, are they on bye this week? No, they play the Cardinals. Duh. Yeah, he needs to get healthy. Like he just really shouldn't have started the season. Should have given him a week or 2 to get healthy.
And they should have got a backup. Because if they have to play a game with Jake Browning, there's no hope that that's going to go better than an injured Joe Burrow. So,
no.
Who knows what's going on with that team?
No, it is not.
Next up, you've got the Raiders at the Chargers, where the Chargers were able to beat the Raiders 24-17. And Khalil Mack set the single-game record for sacks, I believe, with 6.
6 sacks, yep. Yeah. Crazy.
His stat line was just insane. 8 solo tackles, 10 total, 6 sacks, 1 pass deflection. The guy literally did everything.
Yeah. He was a beast.
He just was not happy with his old team.
Yeah, imagine that. Aiden O'Connell got the start for Vegas. Another preseason quarterback. Yeah. Didn't do 2, 1 interception, 2
lost
2 fumbles. But I mean, he's got sacked 7 times, including those 6 by Mack. Like, that's a rough day. That's both of the rookies, DTR and O'Connell, had rough starts to to their careers this week.
They'll bounce back. They'll be fine.
Nah, I hope so. Patriots, Cowboys. Cowboys beat up on the Patriots. I think last week I even said, like, I thought Patriots might have a chance to pull out the upset because of Belichick's. Yeah, just giving Belichick a lot of credit there. But, yeah, they got absolutely just destroyed.
To the point that they pulled Mac Jones and played Bailey Zappi.
Yes, even though they explained it away as, well, the game was out of reach, so why have our starter out there type thing, which is like, yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Patriots, I wonder if Belichick may walk away after this year. I don't see him wanting to coach through a rebuild because the Patriots do seem like they're going to bottom out this season. They still need a quarterback. I don't think Mac Jones is the answer, so I feel like Belichick may be done and ride off into the sunset 2 years too late.
Yep.
Should have done it after Brady left, but whatever.
But that would prove that Brady was the reason he was successful in his eyes.
That's why
he didn't. And
but the problem is he's proving that now by losing all these games.
Absolutely. 100%. They were a team, and that's why they were good. So.
Yep.
Next up, you've got the Cardinals at the 49ers, where we talked about this game already a little bit too. Christian McCaffrey went off for 4 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk went crazy too. Deebo Samuel and Kittle only had 1 catch between the two of them, but it didn't matter because they were able to deconstruct the Cardinals' defense, despite the fact that the offense played well. And the score on this game looks worse than it actually was. But, yeah. 35-16 was the final score, but late into early in the fourth quarter, there was only a 5-point game. And then there were some extra touchdowns there at the end that padded on to it. So it was a close game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. The Cardinals continue to look better than anybody expected. Josh Dobbs especially. So, and I love all the people talking about, like, well, maybe we'll just keep Dobbs and get rid of Kyler and just keep thinking, like, what do you think? What do you think they're going to do with Kyler's contract? Like, I as much as I would love to see Kyler leave after this year, I just don't know financially if that's possible.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Oh well. Chiefs Jets. We talked about that one too with the bullshit referees.
We recapped that game with the holding calls at the end of the game that pretty much sealed the victory for the Chiefs. I won't say that that's the only reason they won because you play a full game, but that was pretty timely. For 3rd and 22, and a guy's held for about 6 seconds, and it's not called, and you get a massive running lane to run 22 yards for a first down.
Yeah,
not great.
Speaking of, we talked about the betting earlier too, and that one when Mahomes slid down instead of scoring at the end of the game there, and the Chiefs didn't cover the spread.
Yep,
a lot of people pissed off about that.
Mm-hmm. Why?
But he did the right thing because they were able to run out the clock and just win. I mean, they would have won anyways, but instead of having to give the ball back to the Jets, they just knelt down and ran out the clock. Like, it was the smart football play. It just pissed off a lot of people.
Yep, exactly. Your last game was the Seahawks at the Giants, which was just a boring game.
Meh.
The only thing about this game that was interesting or cool was watching Devin Witherspoon, the rookie, go crazy in that game.
Yeah, I listened to this game on my way to California on Monday, and like every time they'd get another sack, and in my head I'm just like, how it's impossible. Like, did the Giants have 4 offensive linemen out there? Like, I didn't know what was happening.
Yep, 11 sacks for the Seahawks in that game. Devin Witherspoon had 2 of them himself, the rookie cornerback. Along with what was it? He had an interception, right? For a touchdown?
He had a 97-yard pick six, yeah.
Just fun to watch that rookie that I really wanted on the Lions go nuclear.
Yeah.
So, and the Giants are just a dumpster fire. They are so bad. And when they're
like the Vikings, two playoff teams in the NFC that have completely bottomed out. I don't know, man.
You take Saquon Barkley out of that lineup, like that was what happened on Monday night, and you're left with that ragtag group of receivers that are hard to name their names, and they just can't do anything. Not to mention Daniel Jones being sacked 10 times because Paris Campbell tried to throw a pass and he got sacked as well. So, yeah.
Everybody got in on the sack party.
Yeah. Insane.
All right, well, there you go. That was week 4.
Week 4 we are out of week 4, moving into week 5. So, first up this week is Thursday Night Football tomorrow night, which you know if you've listened to the show for a while. We do our Thursday night 4 plays, where we don't take betting as seriously as some other people, but we try to win 4-leg parlays based on the matchups for Thursday night. So going into that Bears versus Commanders game, I went with something super easy. I bet $10, and if I win, I will win $10 and a cent. And the only reason I bet
roller.
The only reason I bet 10 was because I had a bonus bet of 10. So
okay. I
bet it before I realized that it was only 101 odds. So I'm gonna win.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should have saved that for a big try.
yeah, that was real dumb. I may win a cent tomorrow night. Actually, I went back and I reused these picks and made a 8-leg parlay. So if these 4 hit and the rest of my others hit, then I'll be in a good spot. But the 4-play official podcast 4-play here is Justin Fields with 25 rushing yards, which he had exactly 25 last week. So if he throws a lot like he did last week, I might not hit this one, which is what he should do because that's what's going to make him a all-around NFL quarterback. But Justin Fields, 25-plus rushing yards. I have Brian Robinson with 25-plus rushing yards. I have Terry McLaurin with 25-plus receiving yards. And DJ Moore with 25-plus receiving yards. That seems like the easiest 4-play in the world. And if I do not hit it to get my first 4-play win, I will be flabbergasted.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, I would say that you're going to hit it. If one of those failed and it's not an injury, it would probably be the Justin Fields. He'll end up with like 23 rushing yards or some crap like that. But exactly. I think you should be good.
I'm gonna get.
So I went with I did the no sweat parlay, the $5 FanDuel no sweat parlay. So I need to make sure my odds were over 400. So they ended up being plus 709. So actually, I win like $35 if this hits. But I picked the Bears to cover 6 there. The line right now is the Commanders by 6, so I picked the Bears to cover that. I think the Commanders, on paper, should win this game by more than 6, but we don't ever do anything like we should. So if we win, it'll be like by a field goal. And then our linebackers are terrible. Cody Barton, Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis doing better, but Cody Barton's bad. So I went with a big Cole Kmet play. He had a huge game against Denver. I think he's getting more involved. Over 25 yards and over 3.5 total receptions. And then Brian Robinson. Bears' defensive line is terrible, so I think the Commanders will run a lot. They like to anyways. And I went with Brian Robinson over 60 yards. So I did bump up his I didn't go with the minimum on his yardage. I did do 60, but he's averaging 65 a game, and this should be a good game for him. So
we will see. That is an interesting odds with the plus 709. That'll be a fun one.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, if I lose this parlay because the Commanders win by 7 or more, fine. I'd love to see them win the game by a touchdown or more. Like, but
you mean you don't want to play the high heart rate Detroit Lions game like you have been lately?
I'd really rather not. Yeah, I'd rather we just win this game by like 1 and away, and if that happens, and that's the one leg of the parlay that loses, so be it. But we shall see.
If I'm ever diagnosed with high blood pressure by a doctor, I will just tell him that I've been a Lions fan since the 90s, and hopefully he'll understand.
I bet you if you went to the doctor, you would have high blood pressure. Like, I'm sure I do, and I just don't go to the doctor. I just don't need anybody telling me that.
What's a doctor gonna do?
Yeah. I'd rather not know. Ignorance is bliss. Stick my head in the sand.
Like a flamingo, right? Flamingos?
Ostrich.
All right, week 5 preview. We've got the Coffin Corner picks, week 3. That's not week 3, that was week 4. Week 4, another huge week for me. I went 13-4 for a second time this season. It's crazy to me to think that I've had 2 weeks where I only got 4 picks wrong. That's insane.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You know what's funny too is I went what I go 11-6.
11-6.
Yeah, and in my confidence pool picks, I won this week. So like I don't know why I didn't just have the same picks as my confidence pool picks. Like I won like $50 this week, my confidence pool, and but got 6 wrong in this. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I will be honest. On Sunday, I have to actually go back and look at what the picks I made were just to make sure of myself. So I understand that. If you're not making them the day after the podcast, then you're probably like, I don't want to open the notes to figure out what I actually picked.
Who would I pick again? Yeah.
So for the season, I absolutely do. I have more than double my losses as wins. So 47-21 I am, and I'm loving it. Richie, you are 44-24, which is also still very good. So, yeah, but I took my 3-game lead back. So
you did all that ground I made up in week 3. You took it right back.
Yeah, I'm like, nope, want that back. Give me that. So,
don't like me nipping at your heels.
No. Let's see if I can gain some more ground this week, or if you pull back in the reins. Which means I'll pick first again this week. So we're starting off on Thursday Night Football with the Bears at the Commanders, of whom I'm going to take the Commanders because, like I said multiple times, I just cannot pick the Bears until they actually win a game. Even
I am very, very tempted. I'm tempted to take the Bears as a reverse jinx, just to kind of put that out there in the universe, to help the Commanders win. But that would be stupid because I'd be giving you another point against me. So I'm going to just take the Commanders. Again, on paper, absolutely we should win this game. But boy, I'm nervous.
The only thing about this next game that makes me nervous is the point spread. But the Panthers at the Lions. Lions favored by 10 points. What? That's never crazy. Happens. I'm going to go ahead and continue to not care about superstition and pick the Lions because I think the Lions will beat the Panthers. Especially the way our defense and our secondary is playing against a Panthers team where their quarterback is struggling so badly and really has only passed to Adam Thielen in the last 2 to 3 weeks. I think that Lions will eat that up. So
agreed, and it's at home. You know, it's one of those things where it's like the Lions at home, the Panthers are terrible. Absolutely, the Lions win this game.
The next one should be fun too because this is the game that me and you will be at on Sunday. But that is the Bengals, who are favored by 3 points against the Cardinals. I am taking the Cardinals.
Ooh.
A, the Cardinals are at home, and B, the Bengals are that bad. The Cardinals have shown that they can play with good teams. They've beaten a good team, and for what we were saying, they should have been 3-0 to start the season because of how well they played against the Giants in the first half, how they gave the game away in the second half against Washington. I think the Cardinals at home play a complete game like they did last time against the Cowboys and beat the Bengals.
That's very good. That was actually one of the games that I was considering taking the Cardinals because I thought maybe I'd get an opposite one on you because, I mean, you're right. The Bengals look terrible right now. And yeah, you know, it could be this is the week where the Bengals put everything together, but I think the Cardinals, especially on the defensive side of the ball, are playing way over where you would think they would be based off the players they have.
Yeah, for sure.
And the Bengals offense, the Titans just put up 27 points on the Bengals defense. And I like the Cardinals offense more than I like the Titans offense. So I hate to do this because I'm going to be there, and traditionally they don't win when I'm there, but they did last time, so I'm going with the Cardinals too.
Alrighty. Next one, you've got the Jaguars at the Bills, where the Bills are favored by 5.5 points.
That is such a low line.
Yeah, I understand that the Jags won last week, and they are, 2-2 now? But I still don't think they've put it all together. So I'm going to take the Bills, especially the Bills that just destroyed the Dolphins at home. Now playing the Jaguars at home. Jaguars.
I've already placed a bet on the Bills to cover 5.5. Like, I don't understand why that line's so low. Like, yeah, Bills win that one walking away. Like, that's ridiculous.
Texans at the Falcons. Falcons are favored by 2 points. Another one I don't understand. Both these teams are 2-2, and I think the Texans are way better than the Falcons. I will take the Texans in this game.
Damn it.
When I saw that the Falcons were favored in this game, I could not understand it.
Yeah, that's another one. I bet the Texans to cover +2 because the Texans should win this game. Damn it. I don't want to just pick different from you just to be different. Like,
welcome to me all of last season. Literally all last season.
Like, I want to get some different, but I can't just pick different teams to do it. Like, they have to be teams I actually think they have a chance. It's like, the Falcons could win this game, and if we end up with no differences, I'll switch it just to have one. Mm-hmm. But the Texans are the better team right now. Why are they the underdog?
Falcons just lost, 2 in a row now? Who'd they play last week?
They played the Jags, and then before that, I don't remember.
The Lions.
Oh,
so they've lost the last 2 games. The Texans have won the last 2 games against good teams.
Yeah.
So that one's just very confusing. Titans are favored by 1.5 at the Colts. This one we might have different. Who knows? I'm picking the Colts. Colts at home.
Okay.
They've played very well. Jonathan Taylor's coming back this week, more than likely. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to take the Colts.
That's fine. This one is a coin flip to me, and I'll take the Titans. Just beat the Bengals pretty soundly. I mentioned earlier during our top 5, I don't believe in either one of these teams, but I'll take the Titans because I'm comfortable taking a risk on them rather than the Falcons.
Yeah. Let's take a second for the chat.
We've got one different.
Because there was actually asked a question, and I don't want them to miss the answer to this. So, I don't know how to pronounce your name in chat. We'll call you Hop. Once we finish these picks, so we got 6 more games to do, we're going to move into our fantasy section, and then we can answer your question. But I will definitely answer that question because I have some thoughts on it. So, Giants at the Dolphins. Dolphins favored by 10.5 points. Yeah, just don't even spend any time.
Yeah, we'll just bust through that one real fast. Dolphins.
I guess
at this
the Jaguars
point, I pick
won.
USC over the Giants.
Well, I was gonna say, I guess the Jaguars won last week, but for the Bills to only be favored by 5.5, but the Dolphins get a 10.5 point. That's kind of crazy. Saints at the Patriots. Patriots favored by 1. And might as well be even.
Yeah, again, I don't understand a line of 1.
Yeah. This is a tough one. Patriots are home. Saints have been terrible. Derek Carr should really rest this week. It's literally a toss-up. I'm gonna take the Patriots because they're home.
Damn. I'm sure this is a stat, but Bill Belichick, after getting blown out, like I don't think he's going to lose 2 games in a row like that, especially to a team that should be starting Jameis Winston, but might not be. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Patriots too.
All right, next up, you've got the Ravens at the Steelers, where the Ravens are favored by 4 points. Only 4 points.
Yeah, again, a ridiculously low line.
I mean, I think you can tell by my response that I'm picking the Ravens.
As well, you should, and as I am. I wanted to believe that the Steelers were better than they appeared, but after 4 games, no, they're just that bad. And yeah, it's a home game, but the Ravens just beat up on the Browns defense. They'll do it to the Steelers defense.
Mm-hmm. Eagles at the Rams. 4.5 point favors the Eagles.
I feel like that's a low line too, to be perfectly honest. I know the Rams have played better than we expected, but the Eagles.
Who did the Rams play last week? Were they won
the
overtime?
Colts.
Oh, that was the Colts. Okay, well, then I'm going to take the Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, the Rams played really tough against the 49ers. So.
They did. They did. I mean, yeah, it might be a
tough.
close game. I just don't see the Eagles losing to the Rams. I mean, if the Rams get cut back, maybe, but I don't know if he's going to play on Sunday or he's just practicing right now. But until the Eagles can lose a game, and I can't not pick them.
Right. Then you've got the Jets at the Broncos. Wow, what a barn burner that'll be. I'm gonna.
This might actually be a game the Jets can win.
I was about to say I'm picking the Jets. I'm taking the Jets.
They're this is the chance for them to have a good offensive game. Zach Wilson not looking terrible against the Chiefs, but Breece Hall, they said that he's not going to have a limit anymore, so let him loose against a team that just gave up 100 rushing yards to Khalil Herbert. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, Zach Wilson had a really good game. Like, I know he had a fumble.
He played.
But that fumble was in the end of the game when he was trying to come back from 23-20, and he had the fumble at the end of the game after playing a really good game. So, the Broncos are not the Chiefs. So if he plays like he did against the Chiefs, they will definitely
Broncos
win
are
this.
not the Chiefs.
I know. Look, I said it, and I'll stand by it. The Broncos are not the Chiefs. So give me the Jets.
Yeah, again, I was hoping maybe we'd be different on this one, but I really do think the Jets get the win against Denver. Denver coming back and beating the Bears does not impress me. No. The Jets going toe-to-toe with the Chiefs, that looked good. So, yeah, Jets.
Speaking of the Chiefs, they are playing the Vikings this week in Minnesota, favored by 4 points. I don't think this is the week the Vikings continue to their winning track, getting back on their winning track. So I'm taking the Chiefs in that one.
That's another low line to me. Only 4 points. I mean, the Vikings, I know everybody still wants to think of the Vikings as last season's Vikings, but they're just not. Yeah, I think the Chiefs easily win this game.
This will be a really good game for this week, I think. Cowboys at the 49ers. Either the Cowboys are good, like everyone thinks they are, and this game will be really good, or the 49ers expose them for the fool's gold that you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast and absolutely destroy the Cowboys. Either way, will be fun to watch. So I'm going to still take the 49ers because I think the 49ers are better even if the Cowboys are good.
Yeah. I mean, I could see the Cowboys pulling this one out, but it is in San Francisco. So I'm going to take the 49ers too. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. If the Cowboys keep it close, I'll believe in them a bit more, but if they end up getting blown out or losing by double digits, then that's a lot of lost faith in that team. Because the thing is, it's the offense, the Cowboys. It just hasn't really been that impressive. The defense has dominated 3 terrible teams, but Dak doesn't even have a 300-yard passing game yet.
Yep. And I'm starting to see a bunch of stories about Trey Lance. I'm like, there's no way with Dak's contract that they're going to be like, all right, you're up, Trey.
That would be too funny.
I would laugh, but I don't think it'll happen. Packers at the Raiders. Another one of these 1-point lines. So,
gotta love 1-point lines. Just bet the money line then.
I don't know who's starting this game. Aiden O'Connell or is Jimmy Garoppolo back? Either way, I think that spells turmoil for the Raiders in the game, and I think the Packers are good enough that they could beat the Raiders either way. So I'm going to take the Packers.
Well, damn, I was hoping for another different one because you hate the Packers. I never thought you'd pick them.
I don't want them to win. Do I think they will? Yes.
Even with Jimmy G, the Raiders haven't looked that good. And the Packers, much like the Chiefs, wink, wink, find ways to win. So
Yeah.
I don't see them falling to 2-3.
No, I'm with you. So we end up with one different in the Titans-Colts game. But now we got.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and. God, do I really want to take the Falcons?
By the way, I'm making the Bills over the Jaguars my confidence pick.
Well, yeah, that line is so freaking low.
It's under a touchdown, which means I can pick it.
I'm gonna take the. I mean, I could take the same game, but that'd be boring. I'm gonna take the Chiefs because that one's also low. Yeah, I'm gonna switch to the Falcons and the Falcons Texans just to give myself some more than just one. I mean, I might be burying myself a bigger hole, but whatever.
Next week, every game's different. You're like, upset city.
I might, like I said, I almost took the Bears just for the hell of it to give myself a little reverse jinx action, but we'll see how we'll see how my two differences pay out. They are close games. I mean, Texans, Falcons, Colts, Titans. Those are close. I mean, even Saints, Patriots. I could go Saints just to be even more different, but I just can't. I don't know. Patriots are home.
Are you going to talk yourself into it? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. Let's just do it. I'll just see what happens if I go with a bunch of differences. So I'm switching to the Saints over the Patriots, Titans over Colts, Falcons over Texans. Those are our three differences. They're all close games. They're all close lines.
Yeah.
The only other the Packers Raiders is in a close line, but I just don't see any way that the NFL lets the Packers fall to 2-3. Come on, that's just bad for business.
Exactly. The Lovies are 2-0. All right, we're moving into the fantasy section. So before we talk about our Week 4 fantasy sleepers, I want to talk about the question that was asked in the chat. So it was asked, hey guys, would you give up Saquon Barkley and Jacoby Myers to get a top-tier wide receiver like Chase, Kupp, or Diggs? There's only one top-tier receiver that you listed that I would think about making that trade for, and that is Diggs. I would not make it for Kupp, and I would not make it for Chase.
Yeah.
Because I see Jacoby Myers is the same production as Chase right now. Kupp has been injured the whole season, so who knows what he's going to do when he comes back, or if he's going to get injured again, and then you're out two really good players, or solid players. If it's Diggs, then I might think about doing it, because Saquon plays on a bad team. He's also hurt. Jacoby Myers gets good yardage when he's out there. He missed a game. So I'd say if it's for Diggs, totally. Chase Kupp, I wouldn't do it, I don't think.
I agree.
Unless it's a keeper league. Keeper league changes things a little bit, but not a lot.
Oh, yeah, good point. Good point, yep. Keeper league, it is a different ball game. But, yeah, I'd agree with that.
And if, Chandler, if you're here, you can ask your question now as well. We are here in the fantasy section. So just hit us up. We'll answer it before we get done here. Thanks for the question, Hop. Appreciate that. All right. So, week 4 sleepers. Absolutely. Our week 4 fantasy sleeper picks this week absolutely killed it as far as badly.
I was going to say, you mean got killed?
Yes, we were killed on this one. Very bad. The best glow up, I guess, if you want to still call it that, of the entire week was me picking Matthew Stafford, the 24th ranked QB versus Indianapolis, who wound up being the 16th ranked QB. Do we call that a win?
If he would have moved into the top 12 and been like a starter in a standard league, I
doubled what he was projected. Yeah, exactly.
I would have given you that, but
that's why these 3 that weren't worse than they were projected are still not green. Because I'm like, are we even calling these wins?
Yeah, I just call those ties.
Okay. Well, as far as your quarterback, since we talked about Stafford, your quarterback was Trevor Lawrence, the 20th ranked QB versus Atlanta, who wound up being the 15th ranked QB. So 2 ties between the 2 of us there on the quarterbacks. They are who we thought they were.
Not a great week for our picks for sure.
They are who everyone else thought they were. They are not who we thought they were. At least not that week. Running back, I had Cam Akers. I picked Cam Akers to take over the position from Alexander Madison this week. And while Alexander Madison, I think he had 75 yards, no touchdown, which wasn't great. Cam Akers had 40 yards, couple almost 10-yard runs on the ones he did get in his 4 or 5 rushes, but 35th ranked running back at Carolina wound up the 34th ranked running back. So right exactly where he was supposed to be.
That's crazy that 7 points ranked him 34th at running back. That just shows you how top heavy running back is.
Yeah, right? Normally you'd think the top of the running back list would be very small, but running backs this year are getting lots of points. People are really running that two running back system in the NFL.
Yeah. Yes, they are. Well, my running back was Javonte Williams. He was ranked 24th at the position at Chicago, and unfortunately got injured, which really sucks because his backup, Jaleel McLaughlin, then went out and got 17 points, catching a screen pass for a touchdown. So I have to imagine that those would have gone to Javonte Williams. But
yeah, exactly.
He didn't get them, so.
Would have made your pick great.
Yeah, he would have had a great day, like he was supposed to.
Speaking of Jacoby Myers, I picked Jacoby Myers to have a fantasy sleeper game last week. 13th ranked receiver against the Chargers. He wound up with 5.3 points. And I didn't even put his rank here because it was way worse than 13th.
Yeah, that's a bad day at the office.
By the way, I love the fact that we answered a fantasy question and then we go on to prove how great we are at fantasy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't listen to our advice.
Yeah. Whatever we said.
I picked Devonta Smith against Washington. The funny thing is, 14.8. I mean, he finished as 25th, which is a little lower than what he was ranked. He didn't go off against the defense. He did basically what was expected. Still wide receiver 2. So.
Yeah, he had over 12 points, which to me should be a win.
Yeah, almost 15 points. In fact, I'm gonna take this off the loss and just make it a push.
There you go.
That's good enough in my opinion.
Moving to the tight ends, I picked Luke Musgrave against Detroit because
you jinxed your parlay by doubling down.
Yeah, Lions are terrible against tight ends. Luke Musgrave has been doing well. Then Luke Musgrave gets a concussion and has 1 reception. So he did not meet expectations or do better than them. Definitely a loss on the tight end this week.
Yep. You shouldn't have doubled down in the parlay and your fantasy. You jinked Musgrave.
I did. 100%.
I went with Gerald Everett. He was 17th tight end versus Las Vegas. With Mike Williams out, I thought, oh, hey, maybe he'll catch more passes. But no, because apparently Donald Parham is just outright past him as their starting tight end. He finished 28th with 2.9 points.
Rough.
But yeah, so not a good week for our sleeper picks, that's for sure.
I mean,
But what's funny in seasonal, I find I won in most of my leagues, which is good because I lost the first 3 weeks in most of my leagues. So I turn that around.
I would just like to point out that how annoyed I am that I score just on the outside of the top 10 historically for a week in our Dynasty League, and then somehow play the guy who scores in the top 5 historically for a week. My 200 points in our Dynasty League would have literally beat everyone else except the guy I played. And now I'm 1-3. I'm so annoyed.
That is the worst way to lose, and it's happened to me. Actually, in week 1 of one of my leagues, I scored the second most points in the league and lost to the guy that scored the first most points. I hate losing that way. I'd rather lose. I'd rather all my team have a terrible day and just like, oh, I got blown out by 60, rather than being like everyone on my team went off, but I still lost by 5.
Yeah, exactly. It's just freaking heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's just crazy. You for the first 2 years of Dynasty weren't you second place year 1 in that? Didn't you come in second?
And year 2.
Yeah. In year 2, okay. And now
year 2.
Starting 1 and 3.
I have Richie, the other Richie in our league, is the only person with a better historical winning percentage than me. Like if you look in our league history, like I'm bringing it up right now, he has an 81% win record. I have a 65% win record, 21-11. The next closest is 18-14. So, I mean, historically in Dynasty, I've been really good. And then somehow I've started off 1-3 this year. And it's probably because Jonathan Taylor's hurt. J.K. Dobbins got hurt. James Robinson, who was huge for me the first year of Dynasty, isn't even on a team. I'm rolling out with Kyron Robinson and just people that you would not expect at running back. It sucks.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the Jonathan Taylor thing is what's killing you this year. I mean, I think it was your first round pick when we did the draft. So yeah, that hurts.
Happy to get him back though. We'll see what happens.
I'm curious to see if he's going to start practicing and then get traded, or if he's going to actually suit up and play for the Colts. Because I mean, a couple weeks ago they hated each other, so it would be interesting to see if they can bury the hatchet. But all right, so let's dive into our Week 5 fantasy sleeper picks.
So just on the Jonathan Taylor thing, he has to play this week. He's coming back from an injury. He needs to show that he still has it to generate any trade interest. So he will be playing for the Colts if they allow him to.
Very true.
Even if he hates them,
would be smart
he will be doing it to get to another team.
Yeah, it would be very smart of him to go out there and show off his health.
Exactly.
All right, my quarterback this week, I'm actually going with Justin Fields tomorrow night against Washington. He's ranked 13th, so just out of the top 12 starters. But I think he's going to run a lot. Our linebackers aren't good, but our defensive line is. They'll pressure him. He'll roll out. He'll see green grass, and he'll run. So I expect that to happen a lot. And he can also throw, especially to the tight end, Cole Kmet, hopefully, for my bet. But yeah, I think he's going to have a rushing yards really boost a quarterback's value. And I think he runs for, I will say 50. I know you said 25 in your parlay. I think he runs more than that easily and scores a rushing touchdown, just in my opinion. So, but that's what I envision is just Chase Young and everybody chasing him out of the pocket, and then he just runs 20 yards down the field.
I've set my sights very low with a Mac Jones pick, who I picked to win against New Orleans. New Orleans has the 25th ranked passing defense, and the Patriots really need a win. So I feel like Mac Jones is going to find a way to make that happen this week. And if he does, get a bunch of points in the process.
Yeah.
So,
and the bar is pretty low when you're ranked 25th. So
exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's only 32, so.
Right, yeah. Barely in the bottom. But, yeah, I mean, it's possible. They are home. They always play better at home. So, My running back, I went with Breece Hall. He's ranked 20th. Facing Denver, like I said, just gave up 100 yards to Khalil Herbert. The coach said that he's not going to be restricted on his snap count anymore. And honestly, if the Jets want to win, give him the ball. He is a fantastic running back. I think he has a very good day against Denver.
I picked Jahmyr Gibbs, and here's why. The Detroit Lions running backs have been going David Montgomery, big game. Jahmyr Gibbs, big game. David Montgomery, big game. Jahmyr Gibbs, big game. So it's Jahmyr Gibbs' turn, and he's playing the 26th ranked running defense of the Carolina Panthers. So I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a big game, whether it's running the ball or being the pass catcher while David Montgomery still has a big game. We will see. But lately, last year and this year, the Lions offense usually goes the way of their running game. And since we have a very good running game and two very good running backs, I'm going to take Jahmyr Gibbs in this one. So
I like it. I mean, that should be a pretty easy game for them, so they should be running a lot anyways. No reason to run up the score. So yeah, I like it. Receiver wise, I'm going with Michael Pittman, 25th ranked versus Tennessee. He's quietly having a very good season. And Tennessee's secondary, even though they just shut down the Bengals, their defense is not great. So I like Michael Pittman. I think he's actually ranked 25th as a wide receiver, like for the season. Like he's nobody talks about it, but he's having a pretty good year. So I think against that terrible secondary, big game.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, Michael Pittman has been very good. I have him on one of my teams, and he's a must start for me on that team.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tutu Atwell is my pick. I didn't know Cooper Kupp was coming back, so if this one fails, that's why. The third receiver on the Rams is Van Jefferson, whose name you never hear called. So if Tutu Atwell's the third receiver, I hope just because Tutu's done well this season, he still gets looks. But we'll see what Tutu Atwell does. He's a 36th ranked wide receiver versus Philadelphia. Even if he just scores a touchdown, that would make him a winner. So we'll see what happens with Tutu.
Well, and the Rams are going to have to throw a whole lot because it's the Eagles. I mean, that should be a high-scoring game. So even the third receiver is going to hopefully get some looks, get some catches. But and if Kupp for some reason doesn't play because he's not quite ready yet, then I think you're in good shape with that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Tight ends, I also went with the Rams-Philly game. I went with Tyler Higbee. Like I said, I think the Rams, they're going to throw a lot. The Eagles are going to score a lot. The Rams will have to score a lot. And tight end is, I mean, if he catches a touchdown, he'll finish in the top 10 at tight end. If he catches 5 passes, he'll finish in the top 10 as tight end. So, but I like Higbee. They just paid him a lot of money, too, so they should want to use him.
No, last 3 games, 7 targets, 5 targets, 11 targets. So he's got a lot of chances.
Yeah. But he was still the 19th ranked tight end. Crazy.
Yeah, weird. I went with the one right before him, and that's the 18th ranked tight end, Jonnu Smith of the Atlanta Falcons, playing against Houston. Jonnu Smith's been getting a lot of buzz this week and last week, which is absolutely insane to me, considering that team has Kyle Pitts on it. But I guess Kyle Pitts just does not matter as much to them as Jonnu Smith. So if you look at the targets on this team, Bijan Robinson, 22. Drake London, 22. Kyle Pitts, 21. Jonnu Smith, 20. Kyle Pitts, 121 yards. Jonnu Smith, 179. So I see a big game from Jonnu Smith. And I picked him because everyone would. The sexy pick is Kyle Pitts as a higher ranked tight end. But history has told us this year so far that Jonnu does about as much as Kyle Pitts does for the Falcons. So,
yeah, Arthur Smith just does not know how to use his offense. I mean, he uses Tyler Algier. Just give Bijan Robinson the ball as much as humanly possible. throw the ball at Kyle Pitts and Drake London. Like, it's not super difficult, but I don't know. But yeah, Jonnu Smith's been doing a lot more this season than anybody expected. I didn't draft Kyle Pitts anywhere in fantasy, thank God.
Well, by the way, the leading yards receiving guy on the Falcons is Jonnu Smith, by the way.
Yeah, so dumb.
So.
Well, there you go. That's our week 5 preview, and I'm taking some chances in the picks, but they're all close games. So, figure why not, instead of only doing one different, just swing for the fences, either dig myself a huge hole or catch up all in 1 week.
I did that all of the end of last season, so we'll see how much you're doing it going through the rest
It worked out, if I remember correctly. You got super close.
Second to the last week of the season, I was only down 1 game, and then in the last week, I went down by like 4 or 5. So
yeah, I'll make it more interesting rather than us picking the same teams all the time and only doing one different. It's like, let's have some fun.
I'm just glad you're the one in my position from last season so far.
Hey, as long as I keep winning money in my confidence pool, I'll happily take the loss on the podcast.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for episode 12 this week. We'll be back next Wednesday night, as we always. Well, actually, hold the phone.
You sure about that?
That is not true. Next week, I am out on vacation, so you'll have to check out our Twitter and our Discord to find out when the podcast is live. If it's live, it might just be an audio next week. I'm not sure what Richie's got planned, but Richie will be hosting with a guest, and I will be gone, and I will be back again in 2 weeks. So for sure, in 2 weeks from now, on Wednesday, we'll be back for another episode. But discord.me/Coffin Corner. If you want to join our Discord, where you can find out what is going on with next week's podcast, or you can follow us on Twitter at Coffin Corners. Those are the 2 places for sure that you will be able to find out what is going on for next week's episode. But yeah, I will definitely be back in 2 weeks. Richie should be here next week with the other episode, and that is where things will lie. So, Richie, you got anything else you want to say to anyone?
Nope, I think you covered it.
All right, great. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back next week for episode 13. And until then, hope you have a good week and your teams win, unless they're playing mine.